Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Dasha. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Even better now that we're all here together. Oh, Dean, you and I never script these conversations, but now that I said that, now, but you and we all here together. We watched Will Ferrell's movie last night, the one where he's a Democratic congressman um, going for re-election, and then
What's it called?
I'm going to. It's Will Ferrell. As Democratic. We watched it last night, and the other main actor is that the campaign, campaign,
Galifianakis.
Galifianakis. But it's absolutely hilarious, and there's one scene I actually want to watch it again. I literally laughed so much I had to go to the bathroom. They're at a campaign rally, and Will Ferrell says, "Let's say the Lord's Prayer." Everybody close their eyes, and then, but he doesn't know the Lord's Prayer, and then he's got his aide miming. It is it is absolutely I have never I've rarely laughed so much in a movie. It's so you can even if you can just get hold of Will Ferrell, Lord's Prayer, the campaign. I think we could do a whole skit, a whole program, because it's actually very deep. But that was hilarious. So we are all here together. Do you want to open with the Lord's Prayer?
Very, very funny. Yeah, no, I mean, I've actually had a work week from hell this week, so I was just like,
Sure.
and now it's finally weekend. I'm like, ah.
Well, nice to have you here. Why do you have a terrible scene of drought in the background? Is there a reason?
I don't know. Yeah, it does look a little bit on the dry side.
Huh? Is it? Are you celebrate? Are you worried about the drought in Europe? Or
Hey, don't talk about drought. Like this is very strange how this theme has popped up like three times today. The word drought.
oh, really?
Yes, I mean, literally like 20 minutes ago, I was reading this post on Facebook where someone was talking about the spatial planning in the city of Cape Town and how the population has increased by like a
I think
couple of thousand.
2,000%. I think I must have. You see, we are. God is not in control. The algorithm is in control. I got exactly the same.
You also see that same post, yeah,
Mhm,
where it was
mhm.
talking about just how the population density has increased so much, and the rainfall has remained like on a
More or
steady,
less steady. Yep.
more or less steady on a 655
Mm.
millimeters average per year, but the population has like increased by so many thousand%. It's crazy.
So maybe God will decide we need a flood. Is he going to kill a few billion people with a flood, or with a drought, or with fires? What is God going to do about this? Because I
Don't
mean,
don't talk about floods because that's like that's in what I wanted to discuss today.
is that a segue? That's a nice segue. Yeah.
It's a nice segue indeed, yeah. So I was thinking about this. I don't know. It was somewhere in this week where I don't know why this theme keeps on popping up in Christianity, especially because there's this whole I call it the Christian retconning the Bible, where they retcon the Bible to fit in with
Okay.
songs, and
Hang on. You need to explain what is redcon. I don't know that term.
that's what's it's reactively
Recommission.
no no
To
no they're reactively reconciling.
uh, um
So
retrospectively.
retrospectively
Okay, it's
reconciling, yeah,
mm,
retconning,
mm,
yeah.
of course. Yep.
So it's all about, for example, things like the Bible says the Earth is 6,000 years old. If you add the dates up, like the bishop did there in the Middle Ages, then you get to 6,000 years ago when when Mudman and Ripwoman were in the garden, and
And Dean, just on that, and you must just stop me when I get too carried away, because this topic about science and to me, it's not so much about science, but it's more about a way of thinking.
yeah,
And just even the idea of dates and dating, even
yeah,
that idea in and of itself is already problematic, because I mean, that bishop that went and looked at dates in the Bible, insofar as anybody, even if it were possible
yeah,
to ascertain dates in the Bible, dates are freaking relative. um
exactly.
I mean, there are
And I mean, how do you get from X beget Y beget Z
ex-
beget,
and
and
which,
it's like beget beget beget,
I
and
mean,
then
are you going to use the Gregorian calendar? Are you going to use the Roman calendar? Are you go? I mean, in the French Revolution, briefly, when they started year one, year, and they,
and And another issue with that, Tasha, is like there's some people. The Bible records some people as being living for 900 years. What's it? Methuselah. Methuselah was like
no,
almost a
many,
century. So
many,
how do
many
you
of them.
handle
I
that?
mean, Methuselah was just the oldest. I mean, he was almost 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
But I mean, most, and we are told it's because people live to that ripe old age of 739, because it was, the sin wasn't so bad or something like that. But just um the missing episode that you and I did about the myths, 10 myths about atheists,
yeah,
we'll have to redo that. You do know that we'll have to
yeah,
recover that from the realms of time and space. But in any case, I was thinking this of, we don't prep for this, but I sort of mull over the ideas. And I was thinking that one myth I think that is very easy to ascribe to atheists is that um, we believe in science like Christians believe in their religion. So we
yeah.
have our own religion and it's science,
I
which
mean,
is
it's this term called, they like to throw it around. It's called scientism.
exactly. and
Yeah,
and it, that is such a big fallacy, because most people don't, and there, I think many atheists also, science is a method.
yeah,
It's a way of looking at reality.
right.
That's all it is. And you don't have to be a scientist um, to practice the methodology. And that is, not all atheists are skeptical about science even. And
Yeah,
one of the things that it, in my journey away from religion, what was prompted by critical thinking skills,
yeah,
and then that was prompted to a great extent by somebody like Carl Sagan,
yeah,
um, who explains in very easy terms, because look, I'm no maths with, I'm not a I'm not, I didn't take science. I had maths, which I passed with a very respectable D in it was higher grade. It was higher grade. I did pass higher grade maths, but I didn't take science.
yeah,
What I know about physics and chemistry is what I learned later in life, reading mostly books about the history. And what stands out to me is that, and that's the core difference between belief as a method of moving through the world and scientific thinking. When you believe something, it's not to be questioned.
yeah,
Whereas the method of science always has this, and it's very uncomfortable. And I get why people don't like it, because
yeah,
it's always as far as we know now.
yeah,
It's never fixed.
yeah,
Because when you live, when you implement this scientific method, you know that tomorrow somebody might invent a better microscope that
Yeah,
can show us more. Somebody might invent a better telescope. We might find something new and the whole picture might change. And
exactly. It's
that's
almost
the
like
core difference.
yeah, there is a method of self-correction built into the process, which belief is very rigid. You know,
Yeah.
because there is a, it's almost like belief is built on a presupposition,
Mm.
whereas the scientific method, or what you can call it methodological naturalism, where you believe that everything is natural and there is some built-in way to discover it. These two things are at odds. It's almost like this eternal, this at first it used this conversation about um, you know, belief versus the natural world has almost changed into a battle between lab coats and halos. If you can put it, if you can put it like that.
Yeah.
And you can see it in whenever you encounter online these creationist YouTube channels, or on social media, in Facebook groups, you encounter these people who always quote, what are these? Is like the Discovery Institute, and I mean, like, what the fuck do they discover? They just what are you going to discover in a in a 6,000 year 6,000 is being generous, like in a 3,000-year-old book?
Mm.
What new?
Mm.
What are you going to discover that's new? And so you inevitably go through, like we talk, like this journey of retconning the Bible to fit the new evolving science, and
And
it's
that has happened since forever.
yeah,
Even very religious believers did that
yeah,
when it suited them. I'm listening to a podcast about Martin Luther at the moment. I
right,
mean, Martin Luther, one of the major aspects of the Reformation is the idea that the individual has access to God, and that I mean, you know how much blood has
yeah. It
uh,
was revolutionary at the time.
absolutely, but it's the same book, the same book. So yeah, you have the Roman Church, and then you have the Reformation, and Martin Luther comes with this totally reconning the Bible when either on a whim or when there's new information. And I used to be this kind of Christian who said that I accept the theory of evolution just because the evidence is so overwhelming.
Mm.
However, God directed it. Um, it's reconning the Bible because, and I've often said this as an atheist, I actually, Dean, I have more respect for the intellectual honesty to a certain extent of fundamentalist young earth creationists, because at least they are willing, they have the balls to take their text at face value,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
need a pair
It's
of balls.
honest, at
It's,
least,
it's uh,
whatever you can call them, whatever. The application is dishonest,
totally,
but
but
but but
but
they're completely honest in the.
you need a hell of a lot of courage to embark on the journey of mental gymnastics with science
I
because of
know.
what your Bible says. So in that sense, they're honest and they have a lot of courage. I
Yeah,
would not have that. I don't have that type of courage
yeah.
to go against established science in that way because of what my holy book says. So you see, that's why I became an atheist. That's why I won't go to heaven. I don't have
But
enough.
why does this clash continue? There has to be some psychological or cultural reason why belief um, keeps on sticking. There has to be. there has to be a payoff, like identity, community,
I
or
think
some, there has to be some kind of payout, because
there
it's almost,
is.
it's almost like clinging onto your favorite Wi-Fi network when the signal's gone dead.
So I don't know if you're aware of terror management theory. You must know of it.
I've briefly heard of it, but I haven't really
Um,
read up
so,
much on
so, so to me, and it's not that it's definitely there's many other reasons, cultural, societal, but on a psychological basis, the best explanation for that holding clinging on to faith in the face of evidence is terror management theory. I think it was Ernst Becker was the psychologist.
it. I've heard
It's
that
our
name.
it's our fear of death. It's our fear of death. It's the fact that we are, as far as we know, the only species that can contemplate our own demise.
Yeah,
And that is a fright. Look, for me, it's not.
yeah,
The idea that I will stop existing, it's not frightening. Although the idea of what goes before you stop existing, that
yeah.
scares me because it might be really bad.
It's not the darkness. It's the turning off the switch.
Uh,
It's the turning off of the switch. That's the thing.
that's it. If it's one switch and they pull it, that's fine. I'm worried that it's like shutting down a nuclear reactor and it's phase one and phase two and phase three, and it like takes forever. But just
You fear you're going to be sputtering out like Chernobyl.
exactly. But that to me is on a psychological level
Yeah,
what makes people because um I really try to understand why people cannot face the facts, and I must facing facts are not easy. You need a sort of stupendous kind of insane courage to just say this is it and this is and
exactly.
uh, you know,
It's that like la 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 la
because I cannot I can't
Yeah, I can't hear you.
exactly. And in one sense I get it.
Yeah,
um and some people have more of that and a greater inclination, and there's a million and five factors that contribute to our psychological makeup. But to me, Ernst Becker, terror management theory, if anybody wants to read up on it, or
yeah,
to me, that's the essence. Um, and that we want certainty, Dean. I mean, we
yeah,
all want certainty. It's very uncomfortable, but even that links to terror management theory because you knowing knowing that you live in a world where nothing is certain.
yeah,
Anything can change any moment. I mean, people that lived through the recent earthquakes, for example,
yeah,
you're going about your life, and the next moment there's an earthquake and half your family's dead. Or I mean, you don't even have to go so extreme. I'm just going to drive to buy some bread. I have to cross the N1 if I do that, and um, uh, people have it can change so quickly, and that's very uncomfortable.
yeah,
And the scientific method is it should, if it's not right. In essence, the scientific method has as its basis that, as far as we know now, we might get new knowledge, we might get more information, we might get more clearer telescopes tomorrow, and
yeah.
it can change in the blink of an eye. And that's why I have deep sympathy with people who cling on and hang on to these beliefs.
But
And
it's strange. Like there has to be some evolutionary advantage to being change resistant. There has to be some kind of evolutionary advantage, because fuck, as a species, we hate change.
yeah,
We I don't know if it's some primordial fear,
no,
something
but look, think about this. If you lived consciously with the knowledge that anything might change at any moment, and that change will probably result in me dying,
yeah,
you know, you would not live, you would not do anything, you would be too scared, you would literally be like a little mouse, too scared of going out of its hole because there's things that will catch me. So I think you've hit on something. There definitely, there has to be, there is an evolutionary advantage, because those who can block out that fear of the unknown, they go forth and do things in spite of the fear.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean,
But
that's
it's
an
so counter. It's so counterintuitive, because as humans, the only constant thing that we experience is change. But that's the only thing that's the same, is that everything constantly changes.
changes.
But
Yep.
yet we are so change resistant. It's funny how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some of us more than others. I must confess that I'm like my paternal grandmother. I loved to change my rooms around, and I love to move furniture around.
Right.
I love change. So
Yeah.
even I would have probably been dead if I lived a couple thousand years ago, because I will always try something new, and it could often possibly result in death. But
Yeah.
even that is a psychological thing. Some people are more change resistant than others. Some thrive with they get, so yep.
But here's a funny, it's funny how these things, and especially in light of the new political climate that we have coming from the northwestern part of the globe, um, um, it's this whole. There's people are very very prone to baking conspiracy into the whole thing. The funny thing is, let me just look for this. Yeah, where it says here, my favorite conspiracy theory is actually not science. you know, where where people start injecting themselves with fucking horse tranquilizers because they think that it's going to, full of ivermectin and shit and whatever, and it's strange how these things develop their own. It's almost like a zeitgeist of
Oh yeah.
conspiracy
Hmm.
that gets up to a certain stage, and it's so anti-intellectual and anti-science. Where, um, uh, but again, the thing that struck me that I wanted to discuss is how people are very selective in what conspiracy. I mean, they'll trust science to do like 99.9% of their lives. They'll use computers, they'll fly in airplanes, they'll
They'll
trip
go to
with
the
blood
they go to the doctor when they're sick.
sick, exactly. But then there's
We
one aspect.
Yep.
Excuse me. There's one aspect of their lives where they will just like hook, line, and sinker. They'll
To,
fall for a conspiracy theory.
but they don't even have to fall for a conspiracy theory, Dean. I mean, there's this thing that most devout Christians live 90% of their lives
As atheists, yeah.
according to this. I mean, I have not ever seen the most devout Christian, Bible believing Christian buy a second-hand car and not take it for a test drive. I mean, if you really really believed that God wanted you to buy this car and that this was the best car, you would just God, I'm going to the second-hand car dealer. Please show me which one,
Thou
and then
will be done.
you'll walk and you'll buy it, and you'll sort of feel around and which one gives you good vibes, and oh, that one, and then you buy that one. Nobody does that. Nobody
It's
does
true.
that.
I mean,
Um,
like, I would challenge, this whole concept of faith as well. Like, if you really have faith, close your eyes and cross the road.
Absolutely, yep.
You
And
know,
then the
put your
argument,
put your money where your mouth is. Close your eyes and cross the road.
then also very selective. Then the argument that Christians will present is, no, but God gave you a brain, so you have to use your brain. But then, even by their own argument, they select when they use use their brain when they buy a second-hand car. They use their brain when they fall sick. They use their brain when they run their businesses. They use their brain. when they cook their food, when they wash their hands. But then at some point, oh, no, here I don't use my brain anymore. So God tells me, God gave me a brain to use, but only up to this point.
Yeah.
Beyond this, then God says, no, 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 you have to believe.
It's
Um,
not only is it selective and it's hypocritical. It reeks of
Absolutely.
hypocrisy. It reeks of hypocrisy because it's very convenient how with the option that happens to align with their flavor du jour happens to be the right one. It's extremely convenient. It's
Yep.
crazy how that shit works. And misconceptions about science as well. That's another thing that I'm picking up a lot recently is things like oh well, science is just an opinion. Science can't answer moral questions.
And
Like
science gets it wrong.
yeah, and like 100 years ago, all scientists believed X, or that
Whi-
you
which
know
is which is again at the basis, that is the greatest, um
strength. Yeah, it's a great
it's the
strength.
strength. It's
Yeah,
it's a feature, not a bug, that science gets. The difference is, when science gets it wrong, they say they're excited that they got it wrong, because getting
exactly.
something wrong means I've gained new knowledge.
Yeah,
Pleasant or not, um so I fail to see how the argument of science gets it wrong, and
yeah.
science uh,
Again, yeah, this for me is a spotlight on the insecurity because the a person, it's only a person that's very very insecure in their position that will say something like, I
mm,
know I am, but what are you you know
right, right.
so I know we believe stupid things, but you believe that everybody came, you believe that two dogs made a whale.
And another thing that people often do is oversimplification.
Yeah,
They'll take exactly like what you said now. So you believe your grandfather was a monkey,
yeah,
um, uh, and that is such an unfair uh, present representation of what science is about.
it's a straw man in the most
Absolutely.
generous terms. It's a
Yep.
straw man of the
Yep.
argument.
And like I just want to reiterate again, I do think there is a danger to scientism, and I think it's possible to fall into the trap
Yeah,
of scientism, because after all, science is a human endeavor, and as such, any human practicing any human activity is susceptible to exactly the same fallacious thinking, making the same errors. I mean, there have been scientists who cook the data to. There are crooked scientists
yeah,
who um, uh, change their findings to get the right grant, or um, but at at the basis lies something deeper,
yeah,
because and I think that's at a philosophical level. The primary endeavor of science, in the sense of how people like Aristotle and Socrates um, started to practice it, the primary endeavor is to find the truth, because there was a strong belief that there was such a thing as truth, and that idea of this is true, this is false, has intrinsic value. In other words, engaging with what is true has an intrinsic positive value, and we've lost that in the modern era. This there's no more, there's no attachment to the idea that that truth in and of itself and has an intrinsic value. And when I say truth, I don't mean spiritual truth. I mean that this is an object.
Capital T truth.
Uh, y- 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 yeah, but even what is, I mean, truth to me is this is an object. It is made of certain substances. It can be used for certain things. If I look at it under an electron microscope, it will have a certain structure and I can't go beyond that. And
Yeah.
that has intrinsic value, the fact that that is so. And we've moved beyond that. And it's actually, I don't know if it's an indictment of the scientific method, or I think there's, you mentioned, you said earlier, anti-intellectualism. I think scientists don't communicate often enough with regular plebs like me. Um, and scientists don't, there are very few good science communicators
Yeah.
who just expose us to the wonder of reality, um
But I mean, I think this is ultimately also a big hurdle that science as an endeavor faces in getting out there to the man on the street. It's because there is an inherent chasm
mm,
between the knowledge that a man on the street has and the scientists themselves have.
mm,
And in order to get those two on the same level, there's a couple of years worth of study and education that a scientist or a person that is educated in a field might not necessarily want to invest. Like an evolutionary biologist might not necessarily want to invest the week that it will take them to explain one
mm,
aspect of
mm,
a theory, um, to a layperson on the street that simply cannot wrap their mind around it, just not for lack of wanting to try or wanting to understand it, but just there is this chasm of
mm,
knowledge that lies
mm,
between them. And that's why it's so important, like you say, that we have science communicators and people who can convey these ideas, who have an understanding of them and can convey them in a language that makes it easy for people to move beyond, you know, two dogs are not gonna make a whale.
yeah.
you
and,
know?
and and the sad part is, in today's era, in today, with the technology we have today, it's actually so easy, because all you need to do is point somebody in the right direction and just give them access to accurate websites, accurate YouTube channels.
Yeah,
You just have to sort of nudge the steering wheel a little bit, and that's I'm getting very nostalgic, and to a certain extent feeling a little bit sad, because when I started my first NGO, Dun, in 2020, that was my mission,
yeah,
to impart this kind of curiosity
yeah,
about the realm of reality, uh, into teenagers, to go into high schools, and just nudge everybody into exploring scientific thinking, because
yeah,
people are afraid of science. Because why? I mean, I'm afraid of science,
yeah.
because
It's
when
because
you when you
people are afraid of ignorance. And when science is presented in a form where it sounds like this complicated, complex, in
and I mean,
fathomable thing,
look
that
at.
then people will automatically resist and say like, "Fuck, I'm too stupid to understand this."
Exactly. And I mean, look, when you're at the end of grade 9, when you choose your subjects,
Mm,
most kids, no, I'm not doing science, because that's very difficult. And yes, it is difficult.
yeah,
It because there's a lot of, to get down to the nitty-gritty is it's hard. I mean, it is hard. But then, because we that's the focus, many people they never get interested in science,
yeah,
not even at a layman's level. And like I said, I don't know anything. I can't balance chemical equations. I can't do problems about motion and speed and what. But because just exploring the history of science, I have enough of an appreciation for the basic concepts. I don't have to be able to balance chemical equations to
This
do
is
that.
another thing, Tasha. We live in an. I always circle back to this. I don't remember where I heard it, but someone said, in this age of information that we currently live in, ignorance is a choice. It is a choice. It is a choice to remain ignorant because we are flooded with information. You're like, I mean, if I had the inclination, I could go online and I could sit and familiarize myself with the intricacies of string theory and how, like,
But
the information is out there.
it's a
So
little bit like a double. I'm so sorry, I
I don't know,
interrupted you.
go,
I
go,
do
go, go.
that. It's the fact that we are flooded with information is a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
I actually listened to a psychologist talk about this the other day. Sometimes choice, too much choice, is really bad.
it
It,
paralyzes you
it,
from choosing. Yeah,
or if there's so much to choose from, we are most you will only choose what most people will only choose what's easy. Well, we choose what we find interesting, and what
yeah,
do most people find interesting? You know, so there's too much information, um,
yeah,
uh, and
yeah,
and and because just like the science is put out there, the young Earth and the flat Earth is also put out there, and we are not equipped, and we do not equip children, especially. We don't equip them on how to evaluate these two. And the scary thing is, I've actually seen this in action. When I had my homeschool center, I had one of my students was actually a young Earth, flat Earth creationist. He believed the Earth was flat. Absolutely. And I mean, a dear child. I loved him so much. He's such a nice boy. But one day it came up in a geography lesson, um, and the other kids said, "But how do we know that the Earth is not flat?" And I mean, they were at this 14, 15-year-old age.
yeah.
And a couple of weeks later, the topic came up again, and all of the kids had been redirected by their friend to TikTok videos about the flat Earth, and all of them shifted in their position. When we first talked about it, they said no, they believe the Earth's round. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after watching a bunch of TikTok videos, not one of them had shifted, but worse. They said, I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure I can trust the science that tells me that the earth is not flat, is not a disk, because these TikTok videos look so good. How
This
do
the
I,
thing is,
you know?
conspiracy. This is the inherent danger is that conspiracy erodes the trust that people have in the efficacy of science.
And the wealth of information out there makes it so easy, because these kids
Pseudoscience,
they
yeah,
don't even know the word conspiracy. They
yeah,
see something, and they it looks so believable that
yeah,
that's scary to me, because there's no malice intended. um
yeah.
well, I don't know these. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But
So
people are like that, like they treat.
okay, Dean,
They,
just give me just give me just give me half a second. You need to edit this.
no, it's fine. We're
I'm
live, so
just
I'm. If you need to mute yourself, if you need to take a.
uh I'll just type um um we're gonna do the greatest. On Saturdays we practice. My family practice our religion.
So it's
Um,
obviously rugby for some reason.
yep, yep. Uh, um, uh, Okay, done. Done. All done. All done.
Yeah.
So, but Dean, was there anything specific from the Bible you wanted to? I love the Bible. You know how much I love the Bible. I love the Bible.
Well,
It's
let's wrap this up, and then I just want to talk to you about this whole idea of scientific consensus. But people, what I said before you took your call was that people treat consensus like it's a fashion trend. So um, and the thing is, in the scientific community, consensus is, it comes at a cost. Like there's a high volume of repeated and testable work that goes into a scientific consensus, and even then, there is still people challenging that consensus, but they do it in a very specific way. It's not like when you talk about things like flat earth conspiracy and anti-vaccination things, like these things are not in the same, they're not on the same level. Like the scientific consensus comes at a great cost. Like I've said, there's I mean, in order to become famous as a scientist, you need to upend the consensus. You need to come with a new theory or a new
mm,
explanation that supersedes the current body of work.
with
Whereas
strong
with
enough
the
evidence. With strong enough
exactly.
evidence.
Whereas in the conspiracy world, it's a simple matter of just coming up with some popular, far-fetched idea, like you said, a flashy TikTok video, or someone that owns the libs, or
Just
someone that
shouting loud enough. Just having just shouting louder than the next guy. I mean, that's how easy. Just
this is the thing is, truth has, in a certain sense, become a commodity. It's become a, depending on how popular it is in terms of exposure or views. So we're almost entering an age where truth is becoming algorithmic.
not entering. We are there.
Yeah,
We are there.
yeah,
Um, and when people say yes, but that's my truth. It's my truth that vaccines are dangerous. I mean,
that's not how truth works. That is not how
exactly,
truth works at
exactly,
all.
exactly. And I get that so often. I just it's just that's my truth. And of course, sometimes that's just a way of not wanting to engage because
Yeah,
there's no better way to end a conversation when that's my truth. You know,
yeah,
it's my truth. Truth is not like you muted.
yeah. But Tasha, I mean, how do we know how old the universe, how old how did we determine that, we are, what's it, the planet is a couple of billion, what's it, 6.2 billion?
Six, yeah, yeah,
Or is that,
4.6.
what is the age of the universe and the
I
age of
think
the,
it's 4.6, give or take a few
yeah.
billion. But
How do
y-
we know that? Like, what, isn't this like just some set, because the Bible has got a very different idea of how old
of course,
the
what people knew at that time is was very different.
but
So,
what was the, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there is some, I don't know if it's people retconning the Bible again, but there is this idea that a day, there was something
oh
like
yes, it's a
a
scripture.
day,
It's scripture
yeah,
that says, "To God, a day is like 1,000 years, and a
but
1,000
that
years
is
like
not
a
in
day."
that is
Um,
retconning, because it's not written in the in the initial Genesis
oh,
narrative.
but please,
It's only much later. It's only much
let's
later that this is.
let's one day just talk about the Bible science, because I mean, if you look at the Bible,
That's
to to to
that's like saying a married bachelor. Like, it's like, what it, it's Bible science. It's the same kind of thing. It's like a married bachelor, because there is. I mean, you don't need to go
uh,
far to find the
but
scientific inaccuracies,
to
inconsistencies. You know,
So just by the way, that scripture is 2 Peter 3 verse 8.
very far
Um,
from Genesis, I'll have you know.
absolutely, but you see, Dean, you have to read the Bible as a whole, and you have to remember, Dean. I mean, Genesis um, has a, it's a it's poetic as mixed with it's poetry mixed with science. So I mean,
Metaphor, don't forget metaphor.
metaphor, and we can't say that 2 Peter doesn't reflect on. But I mean, no, it's but one we have to talk about the Bible someday. um
Yeah,
and just the Bible science and what we know about the Bible, and what we know about Bible translation and biblical text. I'm a big Bart Ehrman fan.
yeah.
And
We must
that
see if we can. I must ask Justin from the Deconstruction Zone if he'll come and do something like that with us. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, there is a lot of material there. You know.
And to me that's the basis, because anybody who claims the Bible has
Yeah.
any truth at all
I mean, it does mention a couple of places that
that exist.
that existed. You know
that ex-
that like it mentions Jerusalem and it mentions like the Dead
but I
Sea.
mean, but that's not to say that there's, I mean,
That's
Harry Potter Harry
accidental. Yeah.
Potter Harry Potter names London. I mean, so yeah, obviously there is a place such as such.
You can't say it's fiction whole cloth.
That's a loaded when I say that, when the Bible says there is a city like Jerusalem,
Yeah,
that is obviously not fiction.
yeah,
But that is not a statement of value. That's like that is just a statement.
yeah,
But the Bible also says there's a place like hell.
yeah.
So now,
And it also says that bats are birds.
and that it says many things. So to say that the Bible contains truth because it mentions a few places that really exist,
Yeah,
to me that's almost like, so what? um uh, Even a broken clock is right twice a day,
twice a day. Yeah,
it's the
and it's the thing is, when you are in the fold, when you are in that mindset, you are automatically in that mode where you do tap dancing. Yeah, it's I call it the favorite Christian endeavor is tap dancing for Jesus.
tap dancing, mental gymnastics, and cherry picking.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen those. When tap dancing was in its heydays in the 40s. Like people always used to they used to
Fred Astaire.
and I mean, like they used to put on a show. It's like and
Yeah.
these apologists will tap dance for Jesus. Like it's
So you have to make a video for us, where we have three Christians, and one is tap dancing, and the one is cherry picking, and the other one is doing mental gymnastics. You're like Elastigirl. I see Christians like Elastigirl in the Incredibles, where and the arm goes five. It's just all over the place. You can just it's just incredible. And to me personally, it just takes. I used to do that, by the way. I was very good at mental gymnastics, not so
me
good at tap
me
dancing maybe.
too.
But
Just because we grew up in that environment, Tasha, like every Sunday, a person in a position of authority told me that this was the way that the universe and the world worked. And I had absolutely no reason to distrust them because
yep,
they were respected and revered by the people that I respected and revered in my immediate family circle. So I had no reason to distrust them. It's only
yep,
when I was exposed to new ideas in a non-confrontational way And actually, this is the thing is like, I think another cornerstone of this journey of just deconstructing out of this toxic belief system is to be curious. Like, if you are not curious by nature, you know, it's going to take a long time for these ideas just to eventually find their
Mhm.
way into your sphere, where you are going to ingest them. So curiosity really, really helps, because then you actively go and seek new information and new experiences. Where if you are not inclined to curiosity to begin with, like I said, it's going to take a long time for these ideas, because they are planted very, very few and far between. It's going to be a long time for you to go and sit under every tree to find the shade that actually contains a little bit of this
Dean,
critical.
s-
Yeah,
you mentioned something for a future topic of conversation that I really think we need to dig into. You mentioned that you trusted the pastors and the dominees and the predicanter. You trust them because they are trusted by many people.
yeah,
For a long time, I was sort of ambivalent about whether pastors and preachers deliberately lie to the flock. Now there are charlatans that they just, I mean, the shepherd Shabiri and
but the
um,
bullshitty, the
eh,
past,
but I had a
bullshitty.
Bushiri, that one. But for a long time, you know, the people that I grew up with, who taught me, who preached every Sunday, they were, and I still, they were not intrinsically. I never experienced them as charlatans who deliberately wanted to trick people. But and it's something that I think we need to discuss, is, and maybe we should do an Afrikaans episode in particular. Although in the more, in the less charismatic churches, you know, like the Lutherans and even people who the Catholic tradition, the priest, he's not a deliberate charlatan, except that I know that ministers, predicante, who study theology at university, to become an ordained minister in one of the three Afrikaans churches that you and I are familiar with, they know, they are taught proper scientific Bible history.
Yeah,
They know that Abraham is probably a fictional character.
yeah,
They know. They are taught that,
yeah,
especially in the first 3 years of their training. And
yeah,
the fact that I have asked some of those questions of pastors in private conversations, and when you ask them privately, they have to lie to me. They have to lie to you, because the doctrine of the faith has to be based on the fall of Adam, and
yeah.
then the resurrection. Jesus has to come and Jesus has to be sacrificed. You know that story. And but if there was no real Adam, then that
Wow.
whole edifice just crumbles.
Yeah,
And these pastors who are, they're not bad. I don't want to think of them as bad people or evil people or charlatans, but they cannot be honest. They cannot, because the moment they acknowledge, yes, but there probably was no real Adam,
yeah.
then the whole and to
I,
me
and
that
I know, like I don't get it. Like, if you look at it, the whole the whole reason why Jesus Christ was sent to earth was because of the fall
of
in
Adam.
Genesis.
Yep.
The fall of Adam, the original
Yep.
sin that was created in the garden. So I think that's another thing that that it causes a deep sense of insecurity in people when things like when they can't reconcile that dissonance between
And
evolution says that the Garden of Eden definitely could not have happened. But if I let go of the Garden of
then
Eden, then like,
because the internal, and so maybe we should try to get a Duomini to speak to us about this, because I
good luck
really
with
I
that.
really want to, maybe I'll try. I really want to understand, how
Yeah,
do because these are not stupid people, and I also don't think that they are like the dishonest charlatan who want to just fleece people out of their money. Because in the church that I grew up in,
Job is job, Dasha.
true, but I mean, there is a difference. These people, I don't.
You know that when you teach children, you're going to have to wipe a lot of snot off a lot of faces. you know.
But I still want to. I want to explore the mental, the inner world. How do you, especially talking to people who, they are not stupid. You cannot be stupid to pass the kind of degree. And I'm not, so I'm sort of making a distinction. I'm not talking about the fundamentalist evangelical pastor who heard God's voice and then he went to Bible school for 6 weeks. I'm talking about people who are intellectually smart. They
Yeah.
learn Greek, they learn Hebrew, um, they study for 7 years. They're not stupid. They are probably more intelligent if you want to do an IQ test than I am.
Yeah.
How do those kinds of people reconcile? Um, I actually know a former he's a former pastor now, but I'd like to, and I'm sure he'll come onto the show. I'll ask him. Um, Actually, I know quite a few people like that, and two of them might come onto the show. But I would really like to talk to a minister who's still practicing, who really, I want,
Yeah.
how in God's name do you do it? It's a miracle.
You know, Tasha, you'll always be sold these platitudes, of, God's ways are not the ways of man.
Ah, yes, of course.
Like how can you, with your lowly understanding, fathom the mind of God, who turns the gears of the universe? And yeah, you come with your puny little insect brain
How
trying to,
dare you? How
trying to
dare you
understand
question?
the
How,
quantum physics of the universe with your insect brain.
well, I suppose. Well,
But
let
it's
me.
crazy how these, like it's crazy how instead, this is one thing that skepticism and atheism and intellectual honesty has taught me is that ignorance is not a character flaw. Ignorance is something that should be asserted, honestly in the face of ignorance.
Exactly,
Because
because
but why are we so deeply? We find it so deeply unsettling to be ignorant and to be labeled ignorant and to be called ignorant. Whereas
ignorance just means you don't know.
exactly,
It
and it's
doesn't,
not a character flaw.
absolutely not. And I mean, to me, I I find some pleasure in saying I don't know, because the next step is go and find out.
Yeah,
Um, and my uh, even about stupid things like what's the capital of Morocco? Um, I don't know. I don't know.
isn't
Um,
Casablanca or something?
no, it's not Casablanca. It's I don't know.
I know Casablanca is in Morocco.
Yes, it is, but it's it's not Marrakesh. It's
It's,
okay. I was just watching something this afternoon about it. That's, and now I've already forgotten. But
look at me rabbit trailing.
absolutely, absolutely. But the thing is, ignorance is not bliss.
Yeah,
Um, it's it's not, but it's also not a character flaw, and it can be remedied, and that is the most exciting
yeah,
journey to go on. And even, yeah, you can even use the Bible to become less ignorant, because if you read something in the Bible and you just ask, oh, is this true, and you go and do some research, it's just so much fun.
that's crazy. But yeah, Tasha, I want to be mindful because I know you have a rugby schedule that
Absolutely,
you
yep.
that you
and
get
and
ready.
and
So I
Dean,
want, yeah, yeah,
we might bore our audience if we continue for too
yeah,
long
yeah.
as well. So
I just want you to leave us with. I'm going to ask you one question, and you can sign us off with that. Like so. What is the most surprising thing that you have learned from the scientific side of life that you wish more believers knew? I know
Bloody hell.
it's a deep question, you know,
Oh
but
my God. Now you ask me. Okay. So, what is the most, was it, what did you say? Interesting or
surprising.
surprising?
Yeah.
Hmm. The most surprising thing that there was probably no Abraham and no Moses.
Yeah.
That many of the major characters in the Bible, that there was no. Let's boil it down. That there was no Exodus. That there was probably no Exodus. That never happened. There were
No
never.
Exodus, no flood.
No, the flood I always had doubts about. So I got the flood never made sense to me. So not the flood, the Exodus, because the idea of the Exodus, it's plausible in this, I mean, in the sense of people being slaves and people
Yeah.
escaping from slavery, but that there's more and more evidence that it never happened, and
Yeah.
there's no
I guess
evidence
that
forthcoming that it
there's
actually
an
did
absence
happen.
of evidence that it did. Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
they said that, you know, I've heard it said that a tribe of that many people would have left some archaeological record.
Absolutely. And I mean,
The state of Israel has been digging in the Sinai desert for decades.
and if you just so I am still we I will do it. I have not yet, but I'm rewriting the Bible for and not biblical scripture, and just if you read the passages about the Exodus, there's no fucking way that could have happened. There's no way. There's no. I mean, knowing what just but the evidence there was a time when I found it plausible that it could
Yeah,
have happened. So I'd say biblical archaeology has surprised me that there's no evidence for the Exodus because it seemed plausible to me. Even
yeah,
as a non-believer,
yeah.
I could live with that happening.
But Ron Wyatt, he found the ark, and what did
Oh yes, and of course the chariot wheels
the
at the
chariot
bottom of
wheels
the
in the
Red
Dead Sea?
Sea. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, how can you say
yeah.
that? Yeah, how can you say the Israelites didn't build the you know?
Yeah, well,
But my friend, let's leave it there. I thank you so much for joining us again, and whatever you do, don't buy the bullshit. I know you won't, but
it's always a pleasure. Let's see. Shall we see one another in 2 weeks again?
yeah, let's do that. Let's.
Let's do that. Let me see if I can get a dominee, a pastor, willing to come and talk to us. How's
Ah,
that?
in time, tell them that they are lost souls, just lost souls for the pickings.
Yes. Let's see if I can work a miracle.
Okay,
Bye
my
bye, Dean.
friends, we'll
Bye
see
bye,
you again.
everybody.
Bye bye.